reading from the book of Luke, chapter 15, verses 1 through 10. All the tax collectors and sinners were gathering around Jesus to listen to him. The Pharisees and legal experts were grumbling, saying, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." Jesus told them this parable. "Suppose someone among you had 100 sheep and lost one of them. Wouldn't he leave the other 99 in the pasture and search for the lost one until he finds it? And when he finds it, he is thrilled and places it on his shoulders. When he arrives home, he calls together his friends and neighbors, saying to them, 'Celebrate with me, because I have found my lost sheep.' In the same way, I tell you, there will be more joy in heaven over one sinner who changes both hearts and life than over 99 righteous people who have no need to change their hearts and lives. Or what woman, if she owns 10 silver coins and loses one of them, won't light a lamp and sweep the house, searching her home carefully until she finds it? When she finds it, she calls together her friends and neighbors, saying, 'Celebrate with me, because I've found my lost coin.' In the same way, I tell you, joy breaks out in the presence of God's angels over one sinner who changes both heart and life." The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God. All right, hold on here. Well, let's see. All right. Woohoo! We've all been there, right? Man, how many times, it was like looking for our keys. Like, where did I put those stinking keys?
You found the word of the Lord.
That's right. Found the word of the Lord. But then we're always losing something. We're losing our wallet. You know, we're going into the room next door. There's like this, some kind of a laser beam or some kind of an alien beam or something, you know. Have you done that where you kind of just go from here to get something? I don't know what it is. Old age is one suggestion. I'm not buying it. But we look all over for it, right? We look for car keys. We find all these other things, and so Jesus almost seemed to enjoy looking for lost things and lost people, right? I mean, he just loved it. Like in our kids' story this morning about Bartimaeus, he just loved kind of seeking out and searching the last, the least, and the lost, like Bartimaeus, who was blind and sort of the outcast, right? And so Jesus kind of strolls on up, and so what are the people that were with him, right? He had a bunch of people that were with him, kind of surrounding him. They were in their Jesus dive going on because they were traveling with Jesus. They were traveling with this awesome teacher. And so Jesus is walking down the road, and then Bartimaeus somehow picks up that it's Jesus that's going by. And he's like, "Jesus, heal me. Jesus, save me." And so what did Jesus' disciples do? What did those that were following Jesus to do? They go, here, take my hand. I'll take you over to Jesus. They're like, "Shh. We're getting our Jesus on over here. Don't be interrupting this." You know, and just kind of from the outside looking in, we see that and we go, "What are you guys thinking?" It's so obvious when we read it. But maybe it isn't as obvious in real life. For those that are kind of outcasts looking in and going, help me, Jesus, even though maybe they don't even know that they're asking for help. Maybe not from Jesus. But they know that they can get help. They know that they can be healed in a certain place. And they come. How many times have we kind of sat in our uncomfortable places and said, we're getting our Jesus on here. You guys don't bother us. Those of you who are not part of us, just shh for just a minute. We're here with Jesus. But we do it, don't we? We've all done it. We're like, Jesus, pay attention to me. I need just a little bit more. And maybe we do. But at the same time, we forget that we're blessed when we reach out to the Bartimaeuses and take them by the hand and bring them in. Where we lead them to Jesus to be healed. We lead them in to Jesus' presence so that he can say, go. Be new. Go on your way. In the story of Bartimaeus, what did he do? He just joined right in and followed. He followed right along. He certainly could have said, you know, I like that Jesus dude, but the rest of these guys that were trying to keep me away from Jesus, I don't know about that. I don't know about them. But he followed, didn't he? Because of Jesus. Sometimes we wonder, don't we? Why don't we matter to Jesus as much as maybe a Bartimaeus or somebody that we might consider the last, the least, and the lost? Because if we've done any reading or any studying about Jesus, he clearly, time after time after time after time, goes out to the lost sheep. He clearly goes out on a rescue mission. And it's hard for us sometimes. Jesus, don't we matter too? Jesus goes on to tell the story. He goes on to tell the story of a son who's lost. You know, he told the story where we heard Evan read about the parable of the lost sheep who went astray, and the lady who found the lost coin. But he continued on in the next story about a lost son, who some might say was a prodigal. And we know that son really messed up. He went out there, he went off on his own, he kind of said, I'm out of here, and did his own thing. But then when he came back and when the father saw him, he celebrated. And he says, my boy is home. Let's celebrate, not in a little way, in a big way. Now, things are sounding pretty good up to this point, don't they? It's like, yeah, let's celebrate the lost child. Until we notice his brother coming in from the field. The brother who's been working his rear end off day after day after day, doing just what his dad had told him. And says, Dad, what's up with this? This is not what I signed up for. Let me remind you of the tail end of that parable as told by Jesus, where he says, "Now his older son was in the field. Coming in from the field, he approached the house and heard music and dancing. He called one of the servants and asked, 'What's going on?' The servant replied, 'Your brother has arrived, and your father has slaughtered the fatted calf because he has received his son back, safe and sound.' Then the older son was furious. He didn't want to enter in, but his father came out and begged him. He answered his father, 'Look, I've served you all these years, and I've never disobeyed your instruction, yet you've never given me as much as a young goat, so I could celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours returned after gobbling up your estate on prostitutes, Dad, come on! You slaughtered the fatted calf for us.' Then his father said, 'Son, you are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate and be glad, because the brother of yours was dead to us and is now alive. He was lost, and now he's found.'" I have to admit, there's times where I've been the brother. I'm like, it's just not fair. I've been here working my hind end off. I've been doing just what I'm supposed to be doing, and the prodigal son or prodigal daughter or whoever comes along and gets the attention. Poop. I don't want to hear about it. But Jesus tells his disciples, Jesus tells us that, guys, this may not feel fair, but this is how God's kingdom works. That I'm so excited to reach out and bring somebody in that's lost, that has not been found, that it may feel unfair to you sometimes. But guess what? Everything I have is yours. You'll be with me in paradise. Just because I love them doesn't mean I love you any less. But sometimes it can feel that way, can it? Sometimes it just doesn't feel fair. When Jesus does Jesus' thing and goes out and reaches out to those that seem to be kind of thumbing their nose at us, or thumbing their nose at the church, or even thumbing their nose at Jesus. And yet Jesus goes after those that have been ostracized, maybe for good reason. Those that were sitting outside the city walls in Jesus' day that he was often apt to stop and heal. They were sitting there for a good reason, because they had a communicable disease, or at least it appeared to be that way. And so it was safe. They were put there because with them out there, then we're safe in here. With them out there, things are going to be okay. And Jesus would have nothing to do with it. Jesus. And what's even crazier is that Jesus asks us to do the same thing. Jesus says, you know what, guys, if you're going to follow me, I want you to go out to these lost sheep. I want you to reach out. I want you to, in one way or the other, however you can, to touch the lives of the last, the least, and the lost. I think we are incredibly blessed to have some incredible ministries through this church. The Restoration House, which touches lives in our community and helps clearly the last, the least, and the lost. And the Congregations for Children's program that Linda tries to wrestle and manage and is doing incredible things and in the lives of certainly the kids that are the most challenged. I know Jesus is psyched about those experiences. And I'm grateful for those that have been a part of that. Yesterday, Patty and Terry and I went to this workshop, which is a dinner church workshop. Now, this dinner church thing is sort of like some of the things that we've done in the past. Not exactly. And they've got some great resources and given us some great training to be able to reach out in new ways, to be able to have a place where those that may not feel quite as comfortable here as we feel. I think many of us are in similar circumstances where we grew up in the church and we feel the sanctuary is our safe space. The sanctuary is where we feel good. It's where we are family. Even if some of us are extended family here. But we are all family in this place. And we feel it. But sadly, there are some that don't feel that way. Some that have been hurt by the church, or maybe some that are completely clueless about the church, but they've heard stories. And maybe those Christians aren't quite living up to what Jesus has called them to do. But what if? What if we did? What if we actually lived like Jesus and pursued those that nobody else wants to pursue? What if we reached out and offered grace to those that nobody else wants to have anything to do with? What if? I think we can do it. I think we can change lives. I think that people that have never known Jesus can be saved. And to me, that's worth a shot. Let us pray. Lord of love, when I feel far away, search for me. When I lose something precious, help me seek. When I'm struggling to find faith, show me the simple faith of others. When I have an abundance of faith, lead me to support those in need. Remind me of my worth, the worth that I find in you, the worth that you see in me. Tell me, Lord, that you love me. I need to know. Help me to share that love with all your other children. Amen.